Communicating after an earthquake. That is what we are talking about tonight. Once the shaking stops, what do you do? And hopefully you know all this. You check on the people and pets around you. You control your utilities, starting with the gas first, because that's the most important. That's the one that can really cause you problems. And then deal with electricity, and then deal with water. So gas, shut it off if you smell the gas or hear the gas leaking. Electricity, you want to shut it off if you see damaged wires or you smell insulation burning. And then water, you're always going to shut it off. Turning it back on is so easy. Never a problem to turn it off. So that's the second thing you do, is control utilities. And then we want you to make contact with family and friends and get more information, find out what's going on around you and how to keep yourself safe. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, is making contact with others and getting information. Contacting family and friends. Do not call 911. It's very, very common for people to call 911. I was really surprised when I heard that, but folks that are in this world of emergency management swear that it is incredibly true. And they will call to say, was that an earthquake? I get why people do it, but it's really a waste of resources. And you're tying up the phone lines when somebody with more pressing issues may need to get through. So please do not call 911. Resist the urge, don't call, and don't let anybody else in your family call unless it's truly an emergency, a life-threatening emergency. Your landline might work, and we'll talk a little bit about this. Less than 10% of landlines, probably closer to 5% here in the Seattle area, are truly landlines, meaning that there is a copper wire from your wall in your house all the way back to the phone company. If any part of that line has gone wireless, then you do not have an actual landline, and the chances of it working after a large disaster are much slimmer. Landlines will work well after a large disaster as long as the wire wasn't broken somewhere, but very few folks have actual landlines. The way you can tell is if there's a power outage and you pick up your phone and you still have a dial tone, you probably have a landline. You can also call your telephone provider and see if they can track it down for you. Chances are slim that you actually have a landline. But again, even with landlines, don't make a call unless it's absolutely necessary. Let folks that truly need to talk to get help to save a life, let them get through. Texting is probably your best bet. Texting is a small little package of information. It whirls around in cyberspace until it can get delivered. When you hang up the phone, your chances of getting through to another person are gone. If you send a text, it may get delivered at a later time. So texting is really, really efficient way to send information. Make sure that you put your date, the date and the time of your text in the text itself, because it may not get delivered right away. And maybe you have decided to do something different in your plan. You want folks to know what you were thinking and when you were thinking it. Make your message count. Here's an example of a really bad text. Oh my God, what was that? Are you okay? Where are you? What do we do now? Zero information. Nothing of value was really passed to the other person other than your thumb's work. Replace it with something a little smarter. I'm home and I'm fine. The pup is fine. Checking on neighbors, but staying put. It's 4:25 p.m. on a Tuesday. I am conveying quite a bit to my partner, to whomever in my family or friends, what's going on with me, what my plans are. And again, date and time. Make your text message count. An out-of-town contact. This is a really interesting idea. What this person does is they relay messages back and forth from people on the ground. Let's say we had an earthquake here in Seattle. My out-of-town contact person is my mother-in-law in Las Vegas. And you want yours to be someone like that as well. You want them to be in Spokane, Washington, or further east. Not north of us, not south of us. You don't want them involved in the same earthquake that we are. So somebody Spokane, Washington, or further east, and their only job is to accept your text and forward it down to other family members. So they are just a relay, and you're telling them all the good information I showed you earlier, and all your out-of-town contact person has to do is turn around and forward that text onto family members, because sometimes it's easier to get a text out of the city and then back in than it is across the city. So that's the beauty of your out-of-town contact. So find this person, tell them what you need them to do. We practiced with my mother-in-law. She was really concerned about doing it fast. Speed is not the issue here. It's just getting it done and not panicking. And then also give your out-of-town contact person a to-do list. I have mine calling parents for me, and then she's doing a couple other things. She's getting on social media and saying, putting on my page and my husband's page, I've heard from these guys, they're doing okay, nothing new to share right now, but tune back in. And if I hear from them again, I'll tell you more about what's going on with them. We've given her a to-do list. Use them to post on your social media pages so that other folks understand how you're doing. Safe and Well. This is a website that's put up by the Red Cross whenever there's a disaster, and they'll kind of make it go live in that area. And if you are safe and well and you have access to the internet, you can go to the Red Cross and you can log in as yourself there. And so people from, I don't know, Delaware, whatever, when they're trying to figure out if you're okay, they can check Red Cross's website. And if you have checked in, they will be able to see that. Anything else you can think of that you want them to do, they will be more than happy to help out, because really it's the only thing they can do. It's the only thing my mother-in-law is going to be able to do from that far away. Don't rely on your phone because they break. And most of us have all of our phone numbers stored in the phone, and we don't typically know them very well. I'm going to ask you to write down important phone numbers. What we've done here in my house is 3x5 cards. I wrote down all the phone numbers that I thought were super important for us. I also wrote down, you'll see at the bottom there, the numbers for Cairo, and I guess that's Como. I don't listen to those radio stations, so I don't really know them. But those are the ones that are going to have the emergency information broadcast on them. They are specially designed that they will try and keep running even after a big event. So that's where you want to go to listen for information on the radio. I have all this stuff written on 3x5 cards, and then I stick them in plastic bags, and they are everywhere. They're in glove boxes, they're in backpacks, they're in lockers, they're in, wallets, all kinds of stuff. Put them in your desk at work, whatever. But get those phone numbers written down. Off-grid messaging. This is something that might work after a disaster, probably will. So normal phones, cell phones, use cell phone towers to communicate. That's how you get the message from one person to another. If the cell phone tower is down and you have downloaded the right kind of software, you can help build what's called a mesh network, where phones are talking to other phones. Your message will get to, say, this is you, top left, and the person you're trying to talk to is bottom right. That message will get to that person if there are enough people with their phones on, close enough, and using the same software. The message will just jump from phone to phone until it gets to the person it was meant to go to. So it's a little tricky. Everybody has to have their phone on, it has to be powered up, and you all have to be on the same mobile app. So not super reliable, but I'll tell you a little bit more about them. There used to be two main ones, FireChat and Bridgeify. FireChat went out of business, so I'm recommending, if you're going to do this and try and use it, that Bridgeify is probably the one that we all need to migrate to, so that at least we've got a chance of all being on the same mobile app and then sharing that information. These are also mesh network kinds of things. They have a little bit more power than a regular cell phone. They actually kind of amp up your cell phone. You'll notice that it's a device next to your phone, so it's kind of boosting the power. Same thing with this one. There's a regular phone, and then there's the booster. The one on the left is GoTenna, the one on the right is Beartooth. There's probably many more devices. Pairs with your smartphone, send a text and GPS signal, iOS or Android smartphones, range of 1 to 6 miles, which is quite a bit further than the mesh network Bridgeify. I think those are half a mile. They're pretty short. There's your price. And so the other way to communicate is satellite phones. I don't know much about them. I just know they're pricey. Radio, pros and cons. Radios don't rely on cell phone towers. They will work when the phone lines are down or overwhelmed, so that's really good. They run off of batteries, so you don't need power from the power grid, although it'd be nice if we had power. And they can be mobile. You can walk with them, you can move with them. The cons are you have to buy special equipment and a license typically, and they're a little bit cumbersome, but very, very doable. So somebody suggested I have a class. It will be a very, very simple class on radios. FRS radio, which is Family Radio Service, GMRS radio, which is General Mobile Radio Service, or ham radio. I can talk a little bit about those, and I can tell you the pros and cons of each. So I will send out information. You're welcome to sign up for this extra class if you're interested in this. I want to encourage you, and this has probably been on every single one of your to-do lists, is sign up for Alert Seattle and Alert King County. They are not always the same information. There's obviously some overlap, but it's not always overlap. So I suggest you sign up for both. You can customize it to give you the information you want and in the format that you want it. You can have it sent to you as a phone call, a text, or an email. Very, very customizable. These are websites you go to. You want to go to the website and sign up and customize it for your purposes. And this is on your to-do list. This is how Seattle will spread information to the public when the texting system is up and running. This is how they will send us big information, like boil all the water. It's been horribly contaminated, or UW Medicine Hospital is closed for patients. You've got to go to Harborview or something. I don't know. Lots of big information is going to come down through Seattle this way. It is the easiest, fastest, and most accurate way for them to get information out. So this is what they're going to use. Make sure you get it. There's the radio stations again. Again, write these down somewhere. I have them actually written in marker on my little power radio, the little hand crank radio kind of thing, because I will never remember these and I have no way of looking them up if there's a disaster and I don't have Google. So write these down somewhere. Make sure you know where the emergency radio stations are. There's my little there's a little hand crank radio. Local television, don't forget about that. That may be a way to get information after a disaster if it's up and running. And then emergency communication hubs are a really good place to get information after a disaster. And I will explain lots more about emergency communication hubs in 2 weeks. Class number 6 is preparing with neighbors and then how your community can prepare. Next topic, early earthquake warning. The way that we can not predict earthquakes. We don't predict earthquakes, not yet. But the way that we can get people maybe a couple seconds of warning is because earthquakes give off 2 different kinds of waves. The first wave they give off, thankfully, is the P wave. It doesn't cause much of the shaking, but it is detectable. It's kind of like a sound wave. So doesn't move the earth a whole lot, but we can pick it up. And it occurs just before the S wave. And the S wave is the one that causes most of the shaking. So thank goodness there's a P wave, and thank goodness we have the ability to capture it. So P waves come first and fast. Animals are more sensitive to P waves. Animals do not predict earthquakes. They can't tell you 3 days ahead of time that an earthquake is going to happen. They don't have that ability, but they might feel that P wave before we do, humans. S waves cause the shaking. You need 4 sensors in order to figure out where this earthquake's coming from and how strong it is. That P wave has to get to those 4 sensors, and then it takes a little bit of time for those sensors to gather that information, make some sense out of it, figure out what to do with it. Like, who do they need to send that information to? Is it strong enough to warn anyone? And if so, who does it need to go to? Where is the epicenter? Detecting that P wave is really pretty fast. The lag comes after that, getting that information out to the public. I'm going to play this video and it will explain a little bit more about the early earthquake warning system that we have here on the West Coast. We went live May 25th, I think. So just this year.
With even a few seconds of warning, Shake Alert can save lives and reduce injuries by alerting people to take a protective action such as drop, cover, and hold on. Shake Alert further protects people and infrastructure by triggering automatic actions, such as slowing down trains to prevent derailments, opening firehouse doors so they don't jam shut, and closing valves to protect water systems, and to stabilize equipment during life-critical situations. How does Shake Alert work? When an earthquake occurs, seismic waves carry energy in all directions away from the epicenter. P waves, similar to sound waves, move quickly through the ground, followed by the slower and generally more damaging S waves and surface waves. Sensors detect the seismic waves and send that information to a Shake Alert processing center, which requires that at least 4 sensors detect the earthquake. If the earthquake fits the right profile, the USGS issues a Shake Alert message. Distribution partners then produce and deliver an alert to people and trigger automated systems. Alert delivery can be before, during, or after shaking from S waves and surface waves. Alerts can be delivered to people through apps designed for cell phones and other wireless devices, over public address systems, TVs and radios, and by FEMA's Wireless Emergency Alert System, WEA, which is also the source of Amber Alerts. For every earthquake, there is a region near the epicenter where alerts will not arrive before shaking begins. That's because close to the epicenter, the P and S waves are too close together, and the shake alert system needs time, often just seconds, to estimate the earthquake's magnitude and shaking levels before issuing a shake alert message. That means that people close to the earthquake epicenter might not get an alert until after the shaking has already started. Those farther away from the epicenter could receive more warning time before shaking arrives.
Bit more about this system. Currently, we are using the Wireless Emergency Alert, the WEA system. Compatible mobile phones can receive geographically targeted text-like messages. So that sound you heard, that's it. That is the Amber Alert kind of sound that comes over your phone. And that is available right now. Distinctive notification sound, vibrate, and then you should get some kind of text messagey kind of thing on the front of your phone. So that's available now. You do have to enable these alerts on your phone. So there's all kinds of directions in your handout for today on how to make sure your phone has that capability turned on. So please, that's part of your homework. Spend some time with your phone and try and figure out how to make sure that that's on. Mobile apps, which is somebody asked about My Shake app. Mobile apps are coming to Washington State, but we do not have any right now. When they do come, you want both. You want the wireless emergency alert turned on your phone, enabled on your phone, and you also want any of the mobile apps that you can get access to. Future of the early earthquake warning system, because again, we only went live in May. We're about 2/3 of the way built out. We've still got a ways to go. We've got about 65% of the sensors in place right now. We're going to keep putting sensors in place until 2025. We've still got some areas that aren't covered. And a lot of these places are really hard to get to. You've got to send folks with backpacks and, it's carrying gear. And then you've got all the maintenance of gear and all that. You just need to remember to drop, cover, and hold whenever you get an Amber Alert kind of message, or whenever you feel the earth shaking. Get down on your hands and knees, get underneath something, hand on the back of your neck, protect your neck. That's how you ride out an earthquake. I'm going to show you another video. I think this is really interesting. This is an office building, and watch what these folks do when they feel the earth start shaking. I should have warned you, there's no sound to that one, but I think it's a fascinating video to watch everybody get up. Hopefully you can still see this, and run to the door. That is just the worst thing on earth to do. You can see that guy's hands getting crushed in that door. So really, they should have just stayed in the office, got underneath their desks, and wrote it out that way. But we don't always do what we're supposed to do. So that's the end of this class. Class next week is make a plan. So what does that mean? We say that a lot in disaster preparedness. It's not intuitive, I don't think. So I will walk you through things that you should think about for your plan, and I'll show you my family's plan. And then we'll talk about a get home bag. Super easy to make. So next week's class is Wednesday, October 6th at 7 p.m. And then also I will send out the link to sign up for the radio class if you're interested. That's all for tonight.